right? Uninella. Do you understand? So we have to live by that quote. You cannot tell, the younger person cannot tell the elder that they are not saying it as it is, even when they know that the elder is not right. The younger person will have to kneel before the elder and apologize, even if the elder was the one that was wrong. But you know, today in this generation, that is not the code no more. Right? When you are the elderly person in the house and you have made errors, your younger brother or sister will tell you that that's not right to do.
Yeah,
so that is very important. It has to do with generation. And I believe what will bring out a change, a transformational change, would only come from another generation. You understand? Another generation. Again, you are right. There are many politicians probably who are into the environment, who are in the environment, political environment, and of course, maybe priorities for them are the wealth or the gains that they can make in the political environment. But I still believe there are few others who are honest and who can bring about a transformational change. When it is about us, why will we be different? Is that one unique advantage that we have that is different from, example, NPP when they were coming, or President Barrow was coming in, is I know actually what I am coming to do in Gambia. I have that written down already. Do you understand? So I will not come to power and start thinking about what is it should I do with health. I already have a plan what to do with health and how to go about it. So I will not come at that position to start thinking about what to do with security, because I already have a plan. So it's just a matter of coming in, having my book on my desk, and start implementing from A to Z what I have on my plans. So, and I think that is also a unique difference. Like, you can remember when 2017, early 2017, when people start talking about President Barrow, you always say, I have people behind me. Yeah. And one thing that everybody needs to understand, there is nobody in this world or in the Gambia that can do the president's job. And that is where a problem comes. Sometimes you'll see people will tell you, no, it's not the president because he's got some ministers, he's got advisors, they should have. No, they are getting it wrong. The ministers, the advisors, no one of them can do the job of the president. In fact, there's none among them that can take the decision of the president.
But they can influence the decision of the president. Another one.
They can advise. They can advise. But in fact, if the president actually knows what he's doing, I don't think they should be there to influence his decisions. Do you understand? They should only advise so that the president will see that yes, I have been given both sides of the coin. So the president will have a better understanding of what decision he takes. But in fact, the moment they start influencing the decision of the president, that's where the problem comes. Right? Because that will now challenge the fitness of the president to run the state of affairs. So therefore, one thing fundamental is the president being somebody that is in the seat and being in charge of the seat and make the decisions. Now, example what I was saying, when we come to power, if I have a minister of health, right, I will now tell the minister of health what I want for the health sector. Not the other way around and we tell, no, health sector should look like, no. I bring you in to help me do what I believe is good for the Gambian people. Because when I was going around doing my campaign, I told the Gambian people what I thought was best for them, and they bought it and they voted me in. So the minister is not coming to influence that. The minister is coming to help me do that. As things are not like that, we are never ever going to be in the right footing. So therefore, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge that we are facing is the president or the head of state not efficiently, effectively, and 100% in charge of the roles that the Gambian people have entrusted upon him. Mm-hmm.
All right, Honorable, I want us to delve into the economy of the Gambia, looking at frequently we have seen escalation of food commodities, and now that the Ramadan is coming, I mean, things are getting higher and higher. Do you think that escalation of food commodities has anything to do with the presidency? And if yes, what do you think should have been done that is not done?
Exactly. It all comes down to the presidency and the policies of government. Right? Look at it this way. They are serving in their 8 years now. Right? If at all, since they came in 2017, that every year they identify 5 hectares. Right? There is one farm, they have it irrigated and it produces legumes. Then by this year, we would have had 5 times 8, 40 hectares of what? Legumes. Would that not have eased the challenges that we will face during Ramadan? It would have. Do you understand? It would have. So the resources of the country is entrusted to the government, and that's them, headed by the president. So prioritizing where to put the resources of the Gambia is their role and their responsibility, and it comes out from them. So therefore, if there are misplaced priorities, example, just take an example, they have spent more than $1 billion in buying only cars. If $1 billion was spent in irrigation system around some farms, don't you think by Ramadan, legumes would have been very cheap to support the Gambian people? And that's a misplaced priority. After all, what is those cars? What benefit are the Gambian? The Gambian people will not have any benefit, not even $1. You spend $100 billion, you spend $1 billion, and there is nothing in return, not even a single bill for the Gambian people. What is Gambian people going to benefit from those cars? Nothing.
So in essence, you are saying like the government has spent onto something that they are not gaining from.
Irrelevant things. That has no benefit for the Gambian people. Take an example again. Every year, how much do they pay themselves on travels? What are they getting in return from the travels? Nothing, absolutely. Right? They have even increased budget for entertainment. Right? For the State House. Why would you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on entertainment? How is that impacting Gambian lives? No way. And I can tell you, I can go on and tell you so many expenses that the government does on a daily basis that is not bringing forth any impact to the Gambian people. The president is just from amid the people talk, mid the farmers talk, is it not? Yeah. Are farmers not crying about getting money for their groundnuts, their peanuts? Then what was the essence? Right? In fact, that they were spending about $30 million a year. Now they have increased, or they're about to increase to $50 million a year. But after all, what is that benefiting the Gambian people? So it's a misplaced priority. So I can give you a list of so many activities that government puts so much money into, and in return there is no impact on the Gambian lives. So I am telling you, if those monies were directed to situations where they will impact on Gambian lives, then of course, obviously, things would have been better for Gambian people. So this is not actually what they're doing, and it is a sorry state.
Okay, Honorable, I want us to talk about this point. You've mentioned about the meet with the farmer store. In fact, there was one time that I staged a program on SS Media TV that we are going to look into what Meet the Farmer Store is all about, and if it is fit for purpose, if Gambians should continue going in for government should continue going in for it, or if they should remove it from. But one thing we need to understand is like Meet the Farmer Store is a provision of the Constitution. So do you think pumping money into Meet the Farmer Store is a misplaced priority?
I'm not saying that it is not good for the president to go around and meet the people. But why is it a misplaced priority? Why is the money a misplaced priority? Because the way they spend the money and how they spend the money and what they do about the period is always all misplaced priorities. Because in fact, while they are on the tour, the president does not talk about farmers' problem. What they talk about is MPP problem. Is that not so? How is MPP related to the farmers? So this is the problem. So therefore, instead of using the avenue or the activity to relate to farmers, then they use it, right? And again, why in the first place? This happened during the Jawari regime. There was a reason. Then we don't even have JHS. Much more talking about SS Media. Is that not so? Yeah. Then at that point in time, it should have been a right, the Gambian people as farmers, to see their leader. So there was justification then. But today, what for? How many times will the president go around the country without meeting the farmer store? 1,000 times. Whenever he's on break, where is it? Every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's in Mankamakunda. He's going there. Is that not so? He's not going to, every now and then he will go to families, friends, visiting everybody in the country. So that is no more any more problem. And I can tell you, it's easier to meet the farmers through media than going to meet them throughout the tour, how many Gambians would Barrow see? Or how many Gambians will see Barrow? Right? Not even 20% of farmers. Do you understand? Because he can target only certain communities and go to those communities. And period, that's where you end. So he is not going to see with even 20% or even 10% of farmers. Right? But again, even if there was a day that is dedicated to the farmers, call it a farmers day, where the farmers union will bring their team and they will come to meet the president, where all other farmers government pay out probably on that all media houses in the Gambia, that particular day is dedicated to them, even media report is dedicated to them, engage with the media to see that is done. Will there be any farmer that will not get the direct interface with the president? Everybody will have had the direct interface, and it could turn out to be cheaper. And again, in fact, what you would have spent to do it, you can now even spend in the media and support them. Is that so? And you'll be killing two birds with one stone. So therefore, I am not saying that the president is not supposed to go and meet the people of the Gambia. Of course, that's a good thing to do, right? But they have to make things very clear, right? They don't have to go to meet the farmer to benefit the farmer. In fact, they have not met the farmer and give them any benefits, right? They've met them not long ago, went around meeting the farmers not long ago, and today the farmers are all crying all over the country because they can't get money for their peanuts. Then what was the essence? Because what they, in fact, they went around, they have not given the farmer any good news. They told them they're buying the groundnut the same price that they used to buy, that they bought it with last year. And in fact, when the government clearly understand and know that the farming season this year was very bad, right? So all farmers had, like those that had 100 kilograms would have 10 kilograms this year. So of course, that alone should have warranted the government to increase prices for peanuts. Is that also? But again, they maintain it. So after all, they've gone round farmers. What benefit had that produce? And again, look at the cost. Vehicles, damage and repairs, fuel, right? Lubricants. Now you talk about allowances for the drivers of government. You talk about all the government offices whose cars that they take to join Barrow, right? You talk about those people, the cost of not going to work in their own institutions, right? So if you the $30 million we're talking about, it is the direct cost, but the indirect cost or the cost that is unaccounted can be up to more than $100 million. Can make budget up to more than $100 million. Because if you are working, example, let's say SS Media is a government institution, and they came here and took two of your cars, two of your drivers, you understand, and take them along tour. How can do they substantiate the cost to your organization? Maybe those vehicles could have brought you a lot of income within that 1 month. The drivers themselves. So have they substantiated the cost to the organization? No. So therefore, the 30 million, this is just physical cash that we can talk about had been spent. But again, the unsubstantiated cost would be way more than that is provided by the budget.
All right, Honorable, we've gone a very long way into these discussions, and you are bringing in issues that are very much important. The next point that I want to draw your attention to, we have talked about the economy and now the security-wise. You've mentioned about people living in fear into this country. You've talked about robbery. You've talked about people robbery and other stuff. But at one point in time, the NPP government will say, well, during our time, we've recorded not more coup plots like during Jammeh's time. And some time ago, I remember, was it 1 week or so, Sabali was at Nemban, and he was like, the youths are happy from the Fonyan Nemban and other stuff. Don't you think security-wise it is a collective responsibility from both the government side and the public and also the private sector?
The kind of security situation that we're living today, I will not clear it off from the public, but I say if the public has anything to contribute, it's not going to be more than 1%. The problem of security in the Gambia is a government problem. We have to remember in 2016, when they're coming in, it was the government or the allies that told the Gambian people that the security we have in place is not fit for purpose. Is that not so? And in fact, they do not even stop there. They make sure economic came in, right, and stayed. Right? So the government is telling you that economic stays only because they don't feel or they don't believe that their own security or men in uniform, right, can do the job or would be the appropriate team to be on the job. Right? If they had trusted them the way they should, then they would have allowed them to resume their duties 100%. But as I'm talking to you up to today, when the president is out, those you see surrounding him are not even putting on Gambian uniform. Do you understand? So now take it this way. When President Barrow was elected as president and was sworn in, he gave an order to the Gambia Armed and Security Forces while in Senegal. I want you to understand this point very clearly. To understand whether the Gambian men have not been loyal to the president. They have been 1000% loyal to President Barrow. Right? When Barrow was issuing out an order that he don't want to see any single one of them in the streets carrying arms, that they also go and confine themselves within their bases. President Jammeh was here in the State House. Do you understand? Former President Jammeh was here in the State House. And Barrow made that order while in Dakar. The entire armed men and women, the entire forces, all subdued without questions, without anything, to the president's order, and that's President Barrow. So what kind of loyalty do you want or expect from those people anymore? They have given it up 100%. Right? Now, when they came in, they have talked about the need for security reform. That is still something in the wild. We haven't seen any significant step, right, around the security reform that we talked about, that they made promises. So therefore, if security is a challenge today, it is the responsibility and as a result of the dull and bad policies, right, procedures and decisions that have been taken by the current government. That is what led us here today, right? Security is a challenge in Gambia today, and it's unfortunate, but we got to say it is a challenge, and we want it to improve. We want to see that people are secured. We want to see that people can go about their businesses at any point in time. Every single day or two, you hear about somebody being attacked or being killed in their own houses, right? So something, and like, if we were seeing the government doing efforts, then we will understand that, yeah, they're doing the right thing, or they're trying to take the right step.
Honorable, you've talked about security reforms. You've talked about, they mentioned security reform to us in 2017, and now you are saying we have not seen anything. What were you expecting from them when they talked about security reform?
Yeah, I would have expected that they would have launched a thorough investigation in rebuilding, with objective of rebuilding the security. They would have gone down to the security again and probably re-educate many that are in the security, that what service mean to the Gambian people, what service mean to the constitution, what service would mean to them as individuals.
Talking about education, you've said they should have educated Gambian people and those security men. I want to believe that nowadays, if you want to join the police, they are giving out a requirement that you should have at least 5 credits. And don't you think that that is enough education that the security services needed? Talking about the army, both the army, the police have changed their mode of recruitment.
No, that's not good. That's not good enough. Yes, that can be good enough to enter, but that's not the kind of education that we expect from them afterwards to serve, right? Because that is the basic that everybody has. But everybody understand, like example today, if you went out today and you see a man in uniform fighting another person, you'll be disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you disappointed? Because you expect that particular man with uniform should always bear the highest respect, esteem, manners in societies. Do you understand? So that's where the difference comes. The expectation we have on them is different from the expectation we have on any other person. Why? Because the job that they have is to uphold the law. They should protect the law, they should uphold the law. So they should lead by example. Now that would only be given to them by another kind of education. And that education now will teach them how to serve, what it means to put on the uniform, what should be your relationship with the people and what you do. In fact, look at it this way. To many other people, the job they are assigned to, we are not expecting them to give their lives. They will not sign that when the need arises, they can be asked to do something that will kill them. You don't see them in any of the civil service providers, other civil service, except the forces. Do you understand? So that also tells you that there is a big gap when it comes to training and when it comes to understanding, but also to the love of country and also all of that. So these are people that are supposed to be supported in many ways whatsoever, right? And this is the security sector reform will not only about how to call it, educating them on those manners. Yes, that would be, but in fact, even looking at the salaries that they are paid, allowances that they are paid, the support that they are given as people that took that sacrifice to serve us, right? All of these things should have come after. But again, all the challenges, there are certain things that exist in the society should not exist in the forces. Example, the issue of tribalism, the issues of tribes and families. These should not have any room, any space within the armed forces, within the forces, right, of government, right, the security forces of government. So therefore, then again, you will see it is the security sector that should have come in and diluted anything that relates to the issue of tribalisms, families, and so whatsoever within the security forces in the Gambia. But again, since it has not been put in the right way, right manner, it should have gone through, since they have not exhausted that the reform in a way and manner that would have taken care of all these challenges that we have made mention of, therefore then again, now the security in place, right, may not, according to the government or in the eyes of the government, be able to do the job that they would need them to do as usual. And that is why, of course, they have economic to continue to stay. Yeah, that's why they have economic to continue to stay. And that's why, again, the president still feels that he is safer in the hands of other people.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable. We've talked about security. We've talked about improving their living standard, their salary, and their services they are rendering, and also bridging that gap between the security and the entire population. Now, I want to shift your attention to our education system, and many people have criticized our education system. In fact, in our last episode of the talk show, our guest did delve into issues about our education, calling it a failed system. What is your take on our education, and do you think it has any reflection to how we are governed?
But again, it has a huge connection with the failure that we have in our economies and all of that. And look, education is set up for a reason, right? Like I said in our own program, when we come to power, inshallah ta'ala, one of the first things that we do about education is trying to engage through the Ministry of Education, the West African Examination Council. Because I believe the curriculum that we are subjecting our children to needs to be revised, right? It has to be. Otherwise, if they cannot do it, we will go ourselves. We will go and do it ourselves. But we cannot continue teaching the same things right to our students. We know, look, times has changed. The world has changed in a lot of ways. Therefore, education sector also should adjust to reflect that. Now, take an example. When would Gambians start learning about skills? Do you understand? So, what other worlds are doing, or other countries around the world are doing, is what they subject their children to learn is skills. Is that so? Because when they have skills, they can create, they can do a lot of things themselves, create income for themselves, right? But I can tell you, even when you go to the highest learnings of education in the Gambia, the universities and the colleges, right? They are not building extraordinary skills, right, to serve the economy. Do you understand? Yeah. You don't do a degree in whatever, right? In small business creation, entrepreneurship, right? Design and whatever. You don't have your degrees in around those areas, right? You don't have your degree in content creation, and these are things that are now giving people platforms, creating wealth for people around the world. How many hundreds of millions of people are becoming millionaires through TikTok? So therefore, they're through YouTube, through Facebook. What for content creation? Then don't you think we should have an education sector that should consider that? Because that industry can create more jobs than the government can do. Is that also? Yeah. So this is the way, and this is what education should serve us. Instead, An education should be able to alter, should be able to support people in behavioral approach and so on. Why are we talking about rampant corruption all the time? Because we are not taught through our education sector that corruption is not a way to go by. Right? So if you want to mold people, you subject them to the kind of education that will bring them in line to the aspirations and the dream of the leadership and the government. Government will have a direction, right? Today, just go out here in the streets. The first Gambian people that you meet, ask them, what is the direction of the government? They cannot tell you. They cannot tell you. If you tell them what is the direction, what is the vision of President Barrow, can they tell you? They cannot. They cannot. Just after take your mic, your how do you call it, your camera and go in the streets. The first 10 Gambian people you meet, ask them this question: what is the direction of our government? They will not tell you. What is the vision of the president? They will not tell you. And there should be a direction, there should be a vision for the president, and that should be supported by the education sector as well. That vision, right, is what you now inculcate in the curriculum in the education sector, so that you now direct all Gambians, all everybody towards the same direction. Over time, we build up. Over time, we gain momentum.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Kah. You've talked about education, and it's interesting to know that our education system should reflect on